Hi, thanks for watching the Council in Brief. I'm Susan Kennedy. The Council is back from its summer recess with an agenda full of new business. This week, we begin with discussions on financing for the White Flint sector plan. Over the next few months, the Council will be deciding on how to pay for the roads, parks, and other improvements that are part of the plan to improve this section of the Route 355 corridor. The White Flint Master Plan was approved last spring by the Council. It calls for a combination of several financing mechanisms, including development districts, temporary taxes, and added fees for developers. The first stage of the development calls for significant upgrades to Rockville Pike.
There are a lot of moving parts, which is going to be important because if we do this, it's going to have to be a very equitable distribution between people who are building new things, people who currently own things. We want to encourage a lot of redevelopment to occur. So what you don't want to do is have somebody spend a lot of money both in building their new building and contributing to infrastructure right next to somebody who is happy to stay with a one-story building and isn't contributing anything to anything because it doesn't provide the level of density and it really makes things much more difficult. So we're trying to come up with kind of the right carrots and the right sticks to make sure that everyone is contributing, but everybody sees the benefits to it as well.
The plans for White Flint are critical to the economic future of Montgomery County. This vision will create more than 13 million feet in commercial space, and recent analysis found that this new White Flint could bring in as much as $7 billion in tax revenue over the next 40 years. Though how to pay for the project might still be undecided, it's clear the commitment to its success is there.
There's very little margin for error because of where it is. We had issues with Clarksburg where it's a greenfields development, which means that there wasn't anything there before in a lot of the places where development occurred. So yeah, it didn't go great, but there was a little bit of margin for error. You already have a lot of people living there. You already have a lot of businesses there. You already have a lot of people that drive through there or take the metro through there every day. If we don't have it well coordinated, well structured, have the right timeline in place, it could be disruptive, not just for folks who think they want to build something new and exciting, but for everybody who already does something there right now. And so there's not a lot of margin for error, so it's going to require a lot of work on the front end to make sure that happens.
Council members were briefed this week by members of the Board of Education regarding the start of the school year, among other issues. The meeting included discussion on how enrollment numbers will affect budget deliberations. Both council and school board members say they will work to make this year's discussions less contentious.
Our conversation was pretty wide-ranging, but it really focused on the numbers of children coming to us in poverty. And this is a national trend. There was a report recently in the Washington Post and the New York Times that approximately 1 in 4 children live in poverty. But in Montgomery County, it is growing in an extraordinary way. And this adds an educational load onto the school system because it increases the numbers of children who need special attention in the classroom, children who do not speak English as their first language. And so we've seen this trend coming for a while, but today the council and the school board got to really sit down and focus on what that means for us in terms of our budget.
Members of the Planning, Housing, and Economic Development Committee are considering a proposal that would create a position that would oversee future county development. The coordinator would be a central point of contact for residents and businesses located in the planning area and would oversee financing and development of county infrastructure in that area.
I think what happened in Clarksburg is a good example of why it's important to have a person in the executive branch who is responsible for the implementation of the master plan to help ensure that it is implemented in a timely and effective way. We've had some very big master plans adopted, the White Flint plan, for example, as well as the Great Seneca Science Corridor master plan. They're complex. The White Flint financing plan will be a big issue, and so it is important, I think, to have someone in the executive branch who is tasked with the responsibility of following through on the implementation of it. This does not mean that there would have to be a new position created. What it means is that someone would need to be assigned this responsibility.
Well, that does it for this edition of the Council in Brief. We'll be back again next week for a wrap of all the Council's news. For County Cable Montgomery, I'm Susan Kennedy. Thanks for joining us.